This podcast is made possible by the generosity of supporting members. Please visit dharmaocean.org to learn more about becoming a supporting member. You are listening to the Dharma Ocean Podcast. In this talk, Reggie says that the samsaric approach to chaos is to try to limit it, control it, and shut it down. The purpose of meditation is to make room for this chaos. In doing so, we open to the unknown and the unencumbered birth of our own life. This talk was given in 2005 at the Meditating with the Body retreat held in Crestone, Colorado.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
The purpose of meditation is to make room for our own chaos. When we wake up in the morning, things are in a state of chaos. Our life is not together. And normally what we do in our morning routines is we start organizing our life, and we start attempting to delimit and control the initial disorganization and chaos that we feel upon awaking. This is why it's very important in the morning to meditate when you get up. Because what we need to do is we need to make room for our own chaos. And we need to be in such a way that we don't get into the habit of trying to control it and shut it down and domesticate it. In our chaos, and it may be very mild chaos, it may be very subtle, but nevertheless, when we wake up, things are not in a domestic arrangement. And sometimes there's real chaos, and we have a lot of fear of the day. We have a lot of maybe things coming up that put us on edge. We have things that happened yesterday that we're going to have to deal with, and there's really a sense of wanting to control it. So sometimes the chaos is pretty vivid, but other times it's just that things are random. They're just random and they're scattered all over the place when we wake up. And the purpose of meditation is to make room for our chaos. And if we make room for our chaos, if we sit down in meditation practice, we must remember the purpose of meditation is not to try to control our chaos or to make it more palatable to us, or to get ourselves into a state of mind that's more comfortable. This is not the purpose of meditation. The purpose of meditation is to make room for our chaos and to engage it. And this is not pure passivity, by the way. We're not talking about being passive. We're talking about actually engaging our chaos and meeting it, but meeting it in a way that does not involve trying to control it. And when we do that, something very fruitful begins to happen. Because you see, the chaos is the totality of our being, of who we actually are. And when we make room for that chaos, we're actually making room for ourselves. Now, the thing about ourselves is, many of us would like to be the CEO of me. We want to be the boss. Now, the problem is that we actually don't know who we are. It's like a boss trying to run an organization when they don't know what the organization is. And, we've all worked for people like that. It doesn't work. It creates a tremendous amount of conflict, and the creativity of the organization comes to a dead halt. The reason we don't know who we are is because what we are cannot be captured in any image or idea or project or agenda. What we are is not a fixed entity or substance. What we are is a birth that is constantly happening every moment. Everybody wants to know who they are. But the problem is that we think that knowing what we are is coming up with some idea of who we are. But to know who we are is to be present at the birth. And the birth is taking place moment by moment. And when we are present at the birth of ourselves, we feel deeply and truly and profoundly that we know who we are. But that knowing is not a mental knowing, it's an experiential knowing. It's an emotional knowing, it's a somatic knowing. We feel present at our life, and we feel that our life is who we are. So, when we wake up in the morning and things are scattered all over the universe, and we are scattered all over the universe, the purpose of meditation is to make room for that total situation and to resist the temptation to try to shut it down, limit it, and control it, and domesticate it. When we do that, the pieces of the universe, these little pieces of ourselves that are scattered all over the known world and the unknown world, begin to arrange themselves in a beautiful pattern. And by the time we finish sitting and move into our day, there is a sense that we are moving into our day with everything that we are. And our day actually requires of us everything that we are. When we try to be the CEO with a very specific idea of who we're trying to be, we have to actually throw out most of what we are. And the problem with that is that our day cannot happen with that limited little paltry sense of self. The only way our day can happen the way it needs to is if we move into our day with everything that we are. And the only way we can do that is by not controlling our chaos, by making room for it when we wake up. Everybody wants to pin things down. Isn't that true? And I've been hearing about the groups, and the groups are actually fabulous. I mean, this is a wonderful part of what we're doing, but there is a little teeny-weeny tendency that you're looking to your group leader and you kind of, at least some people want that person to pin things down. Let's pin it down. Do you know what happens to a butterfly if you pin it down? It dies. So please, number one is don't put your group leader in the position of having to pin things down. Unless you want to just kill the whole process, then fine. Pin things down so I can be dead. You know, it's much easier to be dead than it is alive. But my guess is nobody really wants to be dead. I mean, you wouldn't be here if you wanted to be dead. Now, of course, if you want your ego to be dead, That's an entirely different story. And we can be helpful on that matter. But also in terms of your own process, please don't require that you understand anything. Don't require that of yourself, that you understand anything. You can open, you can see, you can feel, you can experience, but don't place on yourselves the requirement that you actually have a coherent understanding of what we're doing. You know, my job in this initial situation is to, in a gentle way, to begin to encourage your own totality. And the way you're going to feel that initially is there's a little bit of chaos. There's going to be, not chaos in the sense of just, sort of wild chaos, but chaos in the sense that there are a lot of things happening and you're seeing a lot of things and feeling a lot of things, and you don't know where anything fits in. And that is a very good place to be.
To download more of Reggie's teachings, find out about upcoming retreats, and to explore a variety of audio listening guides to assist you on your spiritual journey, please visit dharmaocean.org. Our music is by Jeff Beal and Nawang Kechog from the album Tibet, Cry of the Snow Lion. This podcast is made possible by the generosity of supporting members. Please visit dharmaocean.org to learn more about becoming a supporting member. You are listening to the Dharma Ocean Podcast. In the second part of this talk on the journey of meditation, Reggie says that it is important to not hang on to anything in our practice. Integrity in meditation is opening to what is, not chasing daylight, and letting go of what we think. This talk was given in 2005 at the Meditating with the Body retreat held in Crestone, Colorado.
There are moments in life when we actually see the order of the universe, but those moments come to us. We don't impose those, and we don't create them, and they certainly don't come about through thinking. Those moments will happen and do happen, but when they happen, we have to disown them immediately. There'll be many discoveries over the next 4 months. And many startling discoveries and profound discoveries and very satisfying discoveries. But this is my advice when that happens. Let it register and then disown it. Don't hang on to the big moments. Don't hang on to the big discoveries. Let them come and let them go. Because when we hang on to the big discoveries, we are impeding our process. Life is not about big moments. Life is about life. Life is about everything that happens in life. And often it's the moments when we are trapped and stuck and suffocating that end up being the most important moments in our life, because they are the moments when we're about to give birth, or they are the moments when we see that some whole train of thinking is a dead end. Often in life, we have a tendency to want to elevate the moments of insight and clarity, and we want to put down the moments of claustrophobia and pain. But this is a terrible, terrible mistake, because life doesn't work like that. It's like saying, I only want day, I don't like night, and trying to go about making day the permanent reality, which, by the way, in our culture, this is what people try to do. You know, people can't relate to darkness, they can't relate to unknowing, they can't relate to the mystery of the womb. You know, and where does it lead us? It leads us to the point where people have no process anymore, and there's no growth, and everything becomes control, 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 and pretty soon the planet is about to die. I mean, that's where that leads. And in a similar way in our own life, that if we try to elevate the light and the purity and the daytime, and when we can see things, we understand things, and we ignore the nighttime, the darkness, the suffering, then nothing works anymore. And then day becomes a nightmare, and day becomes dark, day becomes night. So, because it's that way, when we wake up in the morning and pieces of ourselves and our life are scattered all over the universe, it is so important simply to sit down and make room for the totality of the chaos and uncertainty that we feel at that moment, and just be with it and watch what happens. Just see what happens, and watch how your life begins to flow like a river through your whole day. The more we hang on, the more things die. The more we let go, the more they live. It's true of our life, it's true of the world, and it's true of ourselves. One of the difficulties, I think, if we feel that we have to constantly beat our life into submission and make it into some kind of, make it conform to what we think, is then there are a lot of parts of our life that don't fit in. And then what we do is we start blaming other people. It gets so complicated. You know, the reason I'm feeling the way I am is because of that person and this situation and that job and this client. And you know, I feel like shit and it's really their fault. And at that point, we're not taking advantage of the totality, and we've actually lost touch with ourselves. It's really pitiful. It's sad. It's terrible. This is why meditation practice is the fundamental training to live. Because when we sit and we make room for our chaos, then our life emerges, and if we practice, and practice is part of our life, then that becomes a whole way of being in the world. That whatever arises in your life, you open further to include it. And what you find out is that it's there for a reason, and it's part of the complete pattern of our life. And sometimes it organizes itself into a beautiful, brilliant morning sun, and other times it's the galaxies spread all over the universe. Sometimes it's the depths of the ocean. Sometimes it's the wind. But the most important thing is it has nothing to do with our personal ego and our personal concept of who we are or who we want to be. So the meditation practice that we're doing here, learning an embodied meditation, this is what it's all about. It's about making room for our life. And unfortunately, there is no other way to truly make room for our life. You know, at Naropa we do a lot of contemplative disciplines, and you know, we do flower arranging and yoga and calligraphy and, Barbara, help me, what else do we do? Tai Chi, Aikido, all kinds of things. And these are very good because they're awareness disciplines. But the thing is, you're always doing something. And when you're always doing something, and I'm not saying that they're not beneficial, but when all you do during your day is that you're doing something, and you don't know how to actually truly rest in space or abide in your own emptiness in an ongoing way, it doesn't work. Because everything that we do is addressing some little kind of flaw or some little problem or some little thing in our mind that we feel isn't quite right. So I do think, and this is something that there are a lot of people at Naropa who would not agree with this, possibly, I don't really know because I haven't talked to everybody, but my personal feeling is that meditation is actually the ground on which the contemplative disciplines can really flourish. But without that ability to truly open and let go and abide nowhere, which means making room for our chaos, then somehow the chaos doesn't really have enough room to do what it needs to do. I'm a very tame teacher. But if I live long enough, I might not be. Because I do understand that the greatest gift you can give to someone else is actually to help them begin to feel the chaos of their own life and to trust it. But the thing is, if they don't feel it, there's nothing to trust. Now, the good thing about this group is pretty much everybody came in here in a state of chaos. See, that makes the job easy. And that's one thing, the great thing about and we found this last year too, people come in and they're just they're very aware of what I'm talking about, and they simply want to know, okay, I'm here, okay, now what? And that's just really joyful to work with. The difficult thing is when people come in and they think they have it together, and they think they know what they want from you, and they'll tell you what they want, and they want you to be a spiritual teacher. And if you don't go along with them, they sue you. That's why we have liability insurance.
To download more of Reggie's teachings, find out about upcoming retreats, and to explore a variety of audio listening guides to assist you on your spiritual journey, please visit dharmaocean.org. Our music is by Jeff Beal and Nawang Kechog from the album Tibet, Cry of the Snow Lion. This podcast is made possible by the generosity of supporting members. Please visit dharmaocean.org to learn more about becoming a supporting member. You are listening to the Dharma Ocean Podcast. In this talk, Reggie discusses the destabilizing process of somatic meditation. Practice, he says, opens space in our state of being that gives rise to surprising and unexpected experiences. This talk was given at the September 2005 Meditating with the Body retreat, held in Crestone, Colorado. To find out about the upcoming Meditating with the Body retreat, please visit dharmaocean.org.
A person whose mind is clear is not a person without problems. And the reason they're not a person without problems is if your mind is clear and you know how to get into that space, there's always the possibility that something is going to come and disrupt your peace. And there's always anxiety that goes along with that kind of way of being. Does that make sense? In other words, it's sort of like you're maintaining a state of mind that actually is highly vulnerable. And it's not just vulnerable from the outside, it's vulnerable from the inside, from yourself, and we know that. So that's not really necessarily an answer. On the other hand, a person with a lot of problems is also not a person without problems, because that person is pretty much buried, and that defines most of us, that's most of our life. But there's a middle ground, which is what we're trying to develop here, which is that when things come up, we can work with them. And we have confidence that any state of mind whatsoever that comes up, we know what to do. We can work with the body, we can let go of the storyline, and we can allow the situation or the emotion to move through and to do what it needs to do and communicate what it needs to. So, of course, there are going to be times that we feel tremendous peace and tremendous clarity and real freedom. And these are important moments. They show us the fullness of our being. But it's also important for us not to hang on to that particularly, and to have a willingness to let it go when something else turns up. When we do the body work, initially we think that we're going to have it all together soon. And that we have a technique that is going to enable us to manage the more troublesome dimensions of our experience. And from one point of view, that's actually true. In other words, when things come up, we actually do have a way to work with them and integrate them and move forward. But the other thing is that what happens is we start to feel a kind of relaxation and ease in our body and confidence in our ability to work with things. And what we notice beginning to happen is that emotional states will pop up that are outside our realm of competence. And it isn't just from the inside. We will meet people and they will say things that will really set off anxiety or fear. Just, little comment, little something. And initially we feel really kind of attacked. Like, get out of here. I'm feeling good. What are you doing? Throwing this shit in my face. And what we have to realize is that this is, the more we open and the more competent we become, the deeper the strata of our own ego and our own unconsciousness material is going to surface from. The more work we do, the more deeper and deeper levels of our own hanging on, our own fear, and so on are going to arise. And it's very, very important to realize that this actually is a fruition of your practice. This is not some kind of irritating mental event or bad dream or inconvenient human encounter that has just come out of nowhere. It's not like that. These things are actually incited by our practice. So truly there is no endpoint in the practice itself. Well, that raises the obvious question, well, if the path is basically going deeper and deeper, and if there's always more to deal with, and more to work through, and more to resolve and integrate, why bother? I mean, if life is going to be painful and difficult and destabilizing and surprising in a bad way, why do we bother doing the work? Well, because the work leads to a clarity and a sense of connection with ourselves and a kind of creativity that we really long for. But part of the deal isn't that all the negative stuff goes away. But the positive is our own sense of being who we are and of working in an effective way with our life and of having confidence we can handle things when they come up. Even though initially we can't handle it, we know how to handle it, we do handle it. And the other reason for doing the work, obviously, is the deeper we go, the more helpful we become to other people. If people come in at the same level that we're at in terms of our understanding, we can be friends, but we're not going to be that helpful because we can't really see what's going on and we can't help them connect with what they're needing to connect with. We're going to, when somebody comes in at our own level, the same things that freak them out freak us out. So they tell us about their problem and we freak out. And even if we're in a helping profession, we're sitting there kind of maintaining our professional posture, we're freaked out. And we basically freeze and we can't really help them. So we, through doing this work, the deeper we go, then the more problems and emotional states and human encounters that used to completely make us go nuts, they don't anymore because we've actually worked through that and there's a sense of space around it. We don't freeze up. So I'm just mentioning that we're sitting a little bit here and I'm providing the space so that we can run into some difficulties and irritating states of mind, and we can remember some annoying conversation we had at lunch. I need to provide a lot of room for that so that we have more to work on. But please have confidence in the fact that this is an endless journey. And we're never it's not like you're in a plane and you're going through the clouds and pretty soon you're up above it all and you're just flying through the blue sky. It's not like that. I mean, I think you sort of suspect that. But there's another part of us that when we run into very strong practice and we feel a lot of transformation, we really do hold out the outside hope that pretty soon we're going to hit the blue sky and there's going to be no more atmospheric turbulence. And it just isn't like that. So what is the attitude we should take? Here's a quotation. The everyday practice, and people at the Vajrayana Training Intensive are going to go, here he goes again. The everyday practice is to develop an attitude of complete acceptance and openness to all, A-L-L, situations and emotions, and to all people. So, the more we work, the more we notice the painful spikes of our emotional life and our human encounters. And at that point, the invitation is to open and open further. And strangely enough, that's how you handle, so to speak, difficulties. And now, how is that handling things, opening in that particular way? Because the emotions that we consider unacceptable are in fact not unacceptable. In fact, they are our own life trying to come to birth. And the more room we give to emotions and encounters, situations, people, the more we discover why they're in our life and what they're there for. And truly, they're not there to create annoying disturbances. They're there to enable us to move forward as human beings, to grow and to be more creative and more present to our lives. So the basic idea is to welcome. I mean, of course, initially, if somebody throws a bucket of cold water in your face, your initial response is not to welcome the bucket of cold water. But once you sort of, shake off the water, to welcome the encounter and to feel the invitation to open and extend and let go of personal territory that is in the situation. So I just thought I'd mention that. As we go along here. And I think if we don't have any expectation that we're going to eliminate suffering permanently from our lives through this practice, then it will go a lot better. And I do know that, no one, if I said to someone, do you think you're going to eliminate suffering permanently from your life through this practice? There are probably not very many people who would say, yeah, that's what I think. And nevertheless, we do have that general kind of underlying, almost unconscious idea that because the practice is so powerful, somehow I'm going to be able to work my way out of this, rotten human condition that I'm in. And that can get in our way, that unconscious belief. Now, if you happen to be a person that works with other people in this country, or I would say anywhere at this point, you've got a challenge, because most people actually, that is what they want. That's what we all want, but most people actually have some idea that it's possible. And so you, as a person in a helping profession, person's looking at you and going, are you going to save me? I've come here because I want to be saved from my own human condition. Are you going to do that? So it's just interesting for all of us to consider what our response might be in that situation. The easy way is to say, yeah, I've got a technique that's great and it's really going to change your life and you won't have any more problems. And that, of course, on every page of every magazine in this country, that's basically the message that's coming across, whether it's the helping profession or advertising, whatever it is. But what if you know better as a person in the helping profession? Then what? Then what do you do? So it's an interesting challenge for all of us, how to connect with people and promise them what can be promised, but not promise what can't be promised, and not set them up. So, just a thought for the day.
To download more of Reggie's teachings, find out about upcoming retreats, and to explore a variety of audio listening guides to assist you on your spiritual journey, please visit dharmaocean.org. Our music is by Jeff Beal and Nawang Kechog from the album Tibet, Cry of the Snow Lion.